Good morning. This is a quick screencast just to orient you to this document. And as I said in the email, we really envision this as being the building blocks for a digital badging system. But right now it's being housed in Google Docs until we figure out what will be best for Cherry Creek. For the purposes of establishing some common language, right now you're looking at shared leadership, which we're calling a domain. Again, we can mess with the language based on your needs, but for right now, just to orient us all, shared leadership is an example of a domain. Collaborative use of data is another example of a domain. These pieces here, guiding coalition and teacher leadership, we're going to call those indicators for right now. And every domain has specific indicators that fall under it. The other thing that we did was we tried to look if the PLC is sustaining in the area of guiding as the guiding coalition, what are the skills that they'll need in order to be successful? And so the other thing that we've done is within each indicator, we have identified skills. So here's skill 1, and then up above, skill 2. This document starts out in the bottom left, goes up, and then right. So I'm going to show you an example. So let's say I'm creating a sense of urgency is the first skill that I need to build within my guiding coalition. I'm going to start out as initiating. So creating a sense of urgency is that skill. Here are some resources that my PLC and I can look at and read and consult to build our understanding and some common language and some capacity around creating a sense of urgency. Here's an example of some collaborative reflections. These are questions that my PLC and I can grapple with to really build consensus around this concept and solidify our understanding together. Here's an example of a practice activity that my PLC and I could conduct, again, to really gel that understanding and to create some community around that learning. And then finally, here is a PLC artifact. So what's the evidence of our learning as a PLC that we can refer to, that we can come back to, and that's what the intention of the artifact is. After that, the idea being that because we've made that growth, because we've had that new learning, and because we can demonstrate that new learning in an artifact, that we are now implementing. So the next level of that creating a sense of urgency skill is understanding how the perception of the urgency will impact engagement. There's a resource to help us, some reflection for a group, some team practice, and then again, an artifact to capture our learning. At that point, we become sustaining. Creating priorities to align urgency and engagement around implementation is our next level skill, resources, collaborative reflection, practice, and an artifact. We went back and forth around creating rubrics and eventually decided that at this time, the version that we're presenting you with does not have rubrics because we really feel like we want to give Cherry Creek an opportunity to own and develop some of those resources if that's the direction you choose to go in. But again, we can talk through that with you. But there was a conscious decision not to include rubrics. Just so you know. Again, welcome any feedback that you have and want to create a resource that works for you all, but we're hopeful that this is a good step to solving some of the pain points that we discussed in April. Thanks.